I'm going to show you guys how to do Romanian deadlifts. So right off the bat, if your Romanian deadlift looks more like a squat, you're doing it completely wrong. The main thing about a Romanian deadlift is it's a hip hinge exercise, where the hip joint has the largest range of motion, while secondary is the knee joint. Compared to a squat, where a squat, the largest range of motion is at the knee joint, compared to the hip joint, which is secondary. The main muscles involved with the Romanian deadlift include the hamstrings, glutes, lower back, and to a lesser extent, the grip strength, lats, and traps. And the spinal erectors, of course. So in order to find out your positioning for the deadlift, all you gotta do is just go up to the bar, reach down, and see what it looks like. Now, two things you can do with the Romanian deadlift is you can either have your shins about an inch apart from the bar. You should be able to stick 2 fingers in between the distance between your shins and the bar. Or you can bring the shins all the way up to the bar and use this trick that I like to do. What I like to do is twist my feet just a little outward, as well as my knees. This will make it less likely for the bar to scuff against my knees. Your foot width will vary based on your individual leverages. If you're a larger, taller individual with wider hips and a bigger frame, you might want to widen your stance. If you're a smaller individual like me with medium width hips, you might want to assume a hip width position. Personally, I like to assume a narrow foot position and turn my feet out slightly. That way I get better glute engagement and bring myself closer to the bar. Now it's important, don't sit down during the deadlift. You want to sit back, and it'll look more like this. Another cue I like to use is instead of retracting my shoulders back, I like to bring them down. This creates greater tension in the lats, since the lats help keep the bar snug and prevents the bar from drifting in front of you. I personally like to bring my shoulder girdles also down a little bit. That way my arms can reach to the ground without me having to lower my torso. By lowering my arms down, this creates thoracic rounding, otherwise known as upper back rounding. This is completely tolerable, this is completely fine. You're not going to increase injury risk from doing this. That being said, if you're going to use this cue, you want to keep your lower back in a neutral position, while also keeping your hips behind you. And as far as grip width, I like to grip about shoulder width, but that also depends on individual leverages and preference. Some people prefer to grip wider, some people like to grip closer to shoulder width. And then we lift off, I take a deep breath. When you're doing heavier compound exercises, you want to use a technique called the Valsalva maneuver. You take a deep breath and create intra-abdominal pressure with your abdomen. This helps keep your torso in a neutral position, and it distributes that air and oxygen that you just breathed in throughout the rest of your body. And your reps will look something like this. And that's how you do a Romanian deadlift. Hope this helps.